everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Jennifer Lopez and I own the Cake Mama Company. Today I'm going to show you how I've turned these 6-inch cakes into realistic looking taco cakes.
Okay, so you're going to want to start out by making your lettuce first because it's going to need time to dry. I used a green gel food coloring mixed with some water and just painted that all over the wafer paper. Once the wafer paper gets nice and wet and fully covered, you're going to want to be really careful with it because see, it can slide around and then it can also tear really easily. At one point this got stuck to itself and I gently had to peel it apart. Okay, so once you get the wafer paper the color you want it to be, you're going to want to take it and put it on a piece of plastic wrap that's crinkled and just keep it nice and crinkled because when it dries it'll have a nice wavy shape to it. So now we're going to take a darker shade of green and make this piece of wafer paper a little bit darker since lettuce is a variety of green colors. That way when we shred it all up later, we'll have different shades of lettuce. So we're going to do the same thing and put that on a piece of plastic wrap, and then you're going to want to lay all of this off to the side somewhere and let it dry for a few hours while you do the rest of the cake. Alright, so this is going to be really fun. We're going to make the taco shells. I made this with some lemon yellow and a little bit of orange. This is modeling chocolate, not fondant. I don't like the taste of fondant. Modeling chocolate tastes way better. Alright, so next I'm going to take a cake cardboard. This is a 6-inch. Make a circle. This helps us make the perfect circle, just like a taco shell. Next, I took some plastic wrap and a real taco shell to get that nice taco shell texture all over the modeling chocolate. Alright, so we're going to take our modeling chocolate and place it off to the side and then get our cake out. You're going to want to cut that somewhere in the middle. They don't have to be perfectly cut down the middle, so that's perfectly fine if they're not. And then I'm making 3 tacos, and so I have 3 pieces of cake. Alright, so we're going to want to get that modeling chocolate and that piece of cake out, and you're going to put that cake in the center. I had to pick this up and move it around a few times to find the middle. And then we're going to get our buttercream and add that so the taco shell will stick to the cake. So once your buttercream is on the cake, you're going to want to take your little tools and go around the edge and just kind of give it some texture. I made this wavy, and then I noticed on a real taco shell, the edges are kind of like sticking out slightly. So I kind of tried to mimic what I saw on a real taco shell. Here I took some gel-based brown food coloring and a little bit of alcohol and just painted around the edges of the cake, and then I took a paper towel, dipped it in some alcohol, and just went around and smoothed that out so it didn't look so harsh. Okay, so you're gonna see that on a real taco shell, it has like little dots all over it, little brown spots. And so you're gonna wanna recreate that by making some random little dots all over the taco shell. And then I go back over it with my paper towel and just smooth those out because we don't want them to be really harsh looking dots. We want them to be a little bit more of a blurry dot. probably make tacos at least once a week, so we of course had Mexican-style cheese blend in the refrigerator. I got this out to look at because there's a white cheese and a yellow cheese. I used an ivory color for the modeling chocolate that was the whiter color, and then I took the taco shell and then added a little bit more orange to that to get the more yellow colored cheese. So we're gonna roll out our cheese. I rolled out the white cheese and then the yellow cheese and then laid them both off to the side. I wanted them to get hardened up just a little bit so that when I chop them up here with the knife, they're a lot easier to cut. And then I also cut way too much cheese. You're not gonna really need as much cheese as you think you will because you're just gonna be sprinkling that all over the top of the tacos and it's not gonna be that much cheese. This process took me about 32 minutes. I don't think it'd really take that long if you don't need that much cheese. It'd probably take about 15 minutes. Alright, so now my wafer paper is dry and I'm taking a food coloring dust and just going back over this lettuce to give it more of a realistic look. To get the most realistic shredded lettuce look, you're going to want to take it and just shred it and peel it apart by hand. If you use scissors, it's just going to be a straight line and it won't look as realistic as it should. Next up, we're going to make the taco meat. This took a little bit of trial and error. This is actually the second time I did this. You'll see the first time here in a second, but this time I just decided to take cake crumbs and then take a little bit of gel food coloring and just like a tablespoon of buttercream, because you don't want too much buttercream, as I found out. I decided to take the part that I messed up and use it in the middle so that the lettuce will have a place to stick. So this was my first attempt at making the taco meat. It didn't go as planned. You'll see why here in a minute. It's going to be really dark and the consistency is not going to look like taco meat. So I'm going to take this and instead of just throwing it away, I'm going to use it on the top of the cake where I'm going to put the lettuce and the cheese, and it's going to be perfect. At this point, this just did not look like taco meat to me anymore. It was too dark. I think I added too much brown. I think I even added some black in there, and too much buttercream, so I added white, and it just did not look right. So I tried to save it by adding cake crumbs, and it just didn't work. So we're gonna use this on the top of our cake, and it's gonna be fine. Taking my mixture of crumbs and buttercream and putting that all over the top of the cake, and that's going to be the perfect place to put our lettuce and our cheese. And then on the side, we're going to take this other mixture that I made that looks more like the taco meat, because that's the part we're going to see, because it's going to be sticking out the sides of the cake. It's going to be perfect. Alright, so this is the fun part. We get to start sticking lettuce on the cake. This buttercream crumb mixture that I made was perfect because the lettuce sticks right in there and it holds it really nicely. And just like with the little dots that you put on the taco shell, try not to overthink the lettuce. Just kind of stick them in there randomly. I tend to want to overthink it and have to remind myself to just be random and just grab some pieces and just stick them and see how they look. Next up, we're going to add our modeling chocolate cheese. You want to be random with this as well. I found that it stuck pretty well to these cakes that are sitting upright, and it also stuck pretty decently to the one that was on its side. I tried to use water at one point. You can see the little bowl there, and that didn't help me at all, so it really just kind of stuck on its own. I think these taco cakes are pretty awesome. My favorite type of cake to make is a food cake, food realism. I made a steak cake once for a cake competition, and I've made a bagel cake and a hamburger cake. Really think food cakes are probably the most fun to make. So if you'd like a food cake from us, contact us at thecakemom.com. We'd love to hear from you.